Hello traders, welcome to our neutral view trading channel. Let us start the today's concept, that is support and resistance. So what is support and resistance? Support and resistance is a zone where a stock moves up and down in the set zone that is given clearly in the trading chart. And as an example, I am considering the above line as resistance zone and the below line as support zone. If suppose a stock is currently in the supporting zone, the stock tends to move up slowly and stop towards the resistance zone. If you have clearly observed in the stock market, this would have happened. In the similar way, once the stock has reached the resistance zone, it will now move back to its original position where the support line is present. And this line is where the supporting point comes in. So, why does this happen? The stock will respect certain levels in the stock market. So, this is actually happening with the help of previous data. So, if someone has to understand how the support and resistance work, one has to look at the previous data of any of the stock. And if you look at slowly when the stock is performing, it will obviously come to the supporting zone and go back to resistance zone and then come back to its supporting zone. This will be happening thrice. So after this happens three times, then the stock will now give a slow breakout, which will be usually huge, and the stock tends to move upwards, and the zone which was previously understood as support and resistance will no longer be valid. A new support and resistance zone will now be managed, where if you notice, this particular line above here will now be the resistance zone and this particular line here will be the supporting zone. This will be evident in all the charts in our all stocks of the Indian stock market. To understand this particular concept in detail, let us understand Axis Bank chart. So, if you notice in this chart, this particular point will now act as a supporting line where we can clearly draw a line here and name it as S, where it represents supporting line, and the above line will now be the resistance zone. Let us connect these particular dots, and this particular line, the above one, will now be a resistance zone. So if you notice, the stock has slowly moved up from the supporting zone and it has touched the resistance zone and it has come down. Again, the stock has moved up and touched the resistance zone and it has come back. Again, the stock has moved up and touched the resistance zone and come back. If you notice, this has happened thrice. As per this particular technical, we should now expect a breakout over here in this particular range. If this particular breakout happens, a new resistance zone will now happen. This particular line here becomes the resistance zone. The below ones now will be a supporting zone where we can now name it as R and S. So this is very evident in all the stocks. Let us go back to our drawing chart. Usually the stock will move like this in the upward direction, or it will move like this in the downward direction, or it will be in this way, where here in this particular case, upper line will now be acting as a resistance zone in all three cases, irrespective of the movements. The below line will now act as a supporting zone like this, either if it's upward movement or downward movement or in the sideways market. It doesn't matter. So it is always respecting the resistance and support lines. Always. So how can you make a benefit out of this? So let me take an example of this particular Axis Bank right here. Let us take example of this Axis Bank stock, where if you notice, the stock has from the supporting zone, it has moved up slowly and touched the resistance zone and come back slowly downwards. In this particular case, you can put a small line over here and extend it over till here. Let us assume this particular thing is not yet formed. Let us see only till here. So in this particular place, where you can slowly put a resistance line as well and continue till here. You can extend the line always by touching the upper point of the candlestick, and below also you can do the same. And once this is done, you can re-enter the stock. So now this particular place will be the re-entry point for you, and the above line will now act as a target zone. Next time when the stock moves upwards from here to here, that when it reaches the target, you need to exit exactly over here. If you don't exit in this particular place, the stock will now again move back to its supporting zone from here to here. So again, the stock will reach this position where you might not have earned any of the profits. So it's better to exit exactly at this particular target level. Again, wait for it to come back to its supporting position and re-enter the stock in this particular zone and keep a target again at. So if you make a re-entry over here and keep a target over here, you may again earn some kind of profit. So this is how you can make profits by using just support and resistance. Always remember, support and resistance alone will not give you 100% results. You need to always rely on fundamental and technical analysis of the stock. So if you do that thoroughly, you will make some good profits. So that's it for the day. Let's meet up in the next video. Thank you so much for being a patient audience.